You're muted. No.
I'm muted. I was talking to myself for a second there. Good on you to unmute yourself, Andrew. That's about the only thing you have going for you tonight. I'm Noah Darling. Welcome back to the Band the Wave podcast. Andrew is battling internet issues. We can see him now. We can maybe hear him shortly. Who knows how long this will last, Andrew? I know that a lot of sensible people would say, no, 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 let's not do it. But you're such a baseball guy that you said, we'll do it live.
I mean, this is our third episode, and 2 times we've already been battling, or I've been battling power outages. I mean, I feel like I'm the Baltimore Orioles, and I'm trying to get Cal Ripken Jr. to that consecutive game streak. People are trying to shut down the Band the Wave podcast. I mean, this is a big surprise. If you saw my tweet, my power is out again, which is annoying because I work an hour away, and it was beautiful down there. And then I get back here, and I see it storming. The lightning's pretty bad. And I come home, my garage isn't opening, and I'm like, oh, wonder what that's about. I walk inside, it is 80 degrees in my house, and I have no power. So I am working on a hotspot. So I'm in and out. That is my apologies. Thanks. I'm in and out. So thanks, because I wanted to watch the Bucks game as well as this, but we do it live. We're doing this live.
Yeah, Andrew, your internet is definitely putting on a performance right now, similar to the Baltimore Orioles, maybe circa, going to pick a year, 2016, 2017. I know that they last made the playoffs, I think, or maybe recently, but maybe 2015 was the last time that they were pretty good. Definitely not those Orioles that you're showing us right now. Yeah, Andrew, I think lucky for you, we don't have a ton to talk about. But at the same time, when we kind of came up with this idea for a weekly show, we immediately knew, okay, it's September. How much can really happen in college baseball? But at the same time, it's episode 3 now, like you said, and we've had enough to talk about to get by. It's kind of been a crazy, perfect timing on our part, I should say. But month of September, as far as college baseball storylines go, we're not exactly without any. We have some to talk about. It's pretty exciting.
I mean, yeah. Again, a lot of the stuff we're going to be talking about is just a lot of recruiting buzz. I mean, coaches are starting to get their contract extensions right now. I mean, right now it's just a lot of fall ball intel as well. Talked to a few more coaches over the weekend about how they started. Individuals are starting on the field practice. We had our first scrimmage, our first team versus team scrimmage, not inter squad. But yeah, we're slowly picking up steam. Like not this upcoming week, but in the coming weeks, we're going to be kind of going back into full speed because we're going to be covering a lot of these fall ball scrimmages.
Yeah, it's great to have scrimmages back. I know Maine, and I forget exactly who it was. It was, I believe, a community college of some kind.
Southern Essex.
Yeah, it was something like that. And that's how it usually starts, as the Northeast teams, and then it sprinkles down into where you and I live, Andrew. You're in Florida. I'm in the lovely Midwest, right in Omaha. Couldn't pick a better place. Speaking of the Midwest, sort of the upper Midwest, I do have to give a shout out. As you can see, the Minnesota Golden Gophers have come up with a huge assist. They sent me this helmet. Huge credit to them. They are fans of the program. They always have been at College Baseball Central. Coach McDevitt is one of the younger coaches in the game. Minnesota turned some heads last year. If you followed Big Ten baseball, you might have seen them in the non-conference where they did all right in a few tournaments. They're a program that I believe in. I really like that coaching staff up there. I love when they play at US Bank Stadium. Everybody knows I'm a fan of the Cambria Classic. I'm hearing some whispers that maybe the Cambria Classic will be coming back to us shortly. One of college baseball's grandest venues, when we can see not just Minnesota play at US Bank Stadium against their opponents, but get a whole event in there. But shout out to our friends of Minnesota for sending the helmet. Came in the mail today just in time. What a piece, and I'm thrilled to wear this. I don't want to throw anything up. It is a little snug. It's definitely not designed for me to wear, but I'm going to wear it tonight.
I think it could get on my head. I mean, I typed in our prior No, it makes you look like an athlete. I don't know if it went through because yeah,
Oh, it went through, Andrew, but
yeah. So
you,
you
you
look like a
saying it right there.
You
You
look like
saying it right there didn't go through that well, but I understood what you're saying. Just to make sure that everybody heard you, Andrew's saying I'm an athlete in this helmet, which he's 100% correct. Kind of reminds, I feel like Max Meyer if he were to step up to the plate. Shout out that Golden Gopher, Josh Culver, Omaha product who played at Minnesota. I love my Golden Gophers, and I'm all aboard the train that Coach McDevitt and shout out pitching coach Alec Crawford are able to do up there. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this program develops, and I'm now a day one fan.
That's great news.
That is thrilling, Andrew. Well, let's get into those articles that you talked about a little bit. Again, not anything crazy, because I think if something crazy, Andrew, I think we got to get this on record now. If something bananas happens in the college baseball world, I think we owe it to the 191 people that are tuned in to go ahead and just go live immediately.
109.
We need to get our off the rip reaction.
Yeah.
That sets the standard. If Jim Schlossnagle decides to leave Texas to go to Texas Tech, we're going live 5 minutes after. We're not going to wait until the next Monday. Let's dive into it, Andrew. As we were talking about last week, the SEC came out with their schedule. You kind of said that it might happen, and I wasn't really too sure. And then it did, and that was really, really refreshing. I wish other conferences would return the favor for us because right now the SEC is the only conference who has done such a thing. I asked you earlier in the day. Again, we're flip-flopped. We love doing this flip-flop thing. To list your reaction, your gut reaction, top 5 SEC conference series that were released. What was that, last Thursday? Maybe Wednesday, somewhere in there. The days run together when we're not doing this.
Last Wednesday, I think. I think it got overshadowed.
Yeah, it might have been.
Yeah, so yeah. I mean, I didn't see it coming. I thought it was going to come out tomorrow, but they hit you with pulled a quick one on you. But I really like this schedule release coming out of nowhere. You didn't need a big old fancy carpet for it like the football programs do, but I really like it coming out of nowhere because as we've mentioned, the presses for college baseball news has been kind of slow and steady. So being able to talk about this is really cool. And I mean, as you see my top 5, my top 5, if you read my SEC breakdown of the schedule, you kind of can tell why I went with these. Obviously, me and Noah agreed with our number 1 being Texas and Texas A&M. Jim Schlossnagle is returning to College Station. I heard that game is going to be all rainbows and butterflies, especially if you live near a cemetery in College Station. Mississippi State and Arkansas, that's the SEC opening weekend. Brown's first treated with a nice, lovely road trip to I don't oh my god, no, I'm back. That's gonna be a really fun series. LSU and Georgia, 2 of the top heavy portal classes, and Wes Johnson gets to go against his former boss, Jay Johnson, 2 of the smallest head coaches in the SEC as well, probably.
Why'd you have to bring that in?
Fun one as well.
That was a shot.
What?
You did not have to go after their size. That was inappropriate, Drew. Just because you're a giant. You guys can't really tell looking at Andrew, especially right now. Like, you literally look like you're a ghost, Andrew. But Andrew's like, what are you, like 6'10", maybe? Are you that tall?
6'5". I wish I was 6'10". I wouldn't be here right now. I'd probably be playing basketball in the Big 12.
Good rule as a male, and I know that you're young, so you don't know this. I'm significantly older than you. Good news as a male, when somebody gives you extra inches, just go ahead and take it. That's kind of a standard in all facts of life, and don't read into that.
Okay. Never mind. Texas A&M at Missouri. I put this mostly for joking reasons, but also because this is also a very big series for Texas A&M. You know, Missouri just came into our place and embarrassed us. Let's go to their fan base and embarrass them. I mean, I don't know how many fans are going to be at a Phi Beta Alpha field, which, yes, their baseball field is named after a fraternity. I don't know the exact fraternity, but I think A&M's going to be out for blood, and I have that as a must-watch series, especially with the expectations of Coach Early. And then Missouri at Texas. The last time Missouri went to a Texas SEC school for their senior weekend, that Texas school needed 3 wins to get into that 13-win talk. What they do, they got swept by Missouri. But I think Missouri has the chance to do the funniest thing. Do I think Texas is going to be on that fringe 13-win mark? No, but I really have high expectations for Missouri this year.
When you say your top 5, number 1, I should say that you didn't take much time to think about it. I sent the text and then you responded with that. So I don't know if you had that pre-prepared or what, but I did like the answers.
I did. I did. I've been writing about it for the last 3 to 4 days. I said I was going to have an article out by Friday, and then I'm like, you know what? This is impossible to do with what's going on. Let me get it in by Monday.
That's great, Andrew. Well, like Andrew said, if you haven't read that piece on him breaking down every matchup or really every team in the SEC and talking about their schedule, go ahead and take a look at that, collegebaseballcentral.net. It's the latest thing that we've published up there. Nice long read. Andrew spent certainly a lot of time on that. So hard. He worked so hard on it that he no longer has power.
I guess I knocked out the whole community.
As for my top 5, excuse me, Andrew. As for my top 5 SEC series, like you said, we agreed on Texas and Texas A&M. Mine aren't necessarily ranked, but this is definitely number 1 for me. I think that if there was, I think we watched the SEC Netflix documentary. You watch shows like College Game Day, Big Noon Kickoff, what have you. If there was a show like that and they wanted to see what not necessarily college baseball is all about, but what college baseball in the state of Texas is all about, that would be a must-attend series. I would think that's going to be must-watch at minimum for everybody. That's going to be one where everybody in college baseball has their eyes on it. Not week 2, but number 2 for me, Tennessee and Mississippi State. This one I think has a chance to be Super Bulldog weekend. It's Brian O'Connor's first year at Mississippi State. Should be an electric atmosphere, regardless of how that experiment's going, because that's always a massive weekend. It may not be that weekend. Either way, it'll be a really strong show. Meanwhile, you have the young gun a little bit, even though he's been around for quite a bit now, and Tony Vitello in Tennessee. It feels kind of like not a rivalry isn't the right word, but just kind of differentiating styles. And it's fun that it's in the SEC now. And then you have LSU at Tennessee. This one just felt like an easy one, felt automatic, because you talk about the top programs in college baseball right now, and they are probably number 1 and number 2, at least over the last couple of years. And then I went with a little bit of a curveball in my last 2, South Carolina at Vanderbilt. This one's not going to be one where you talk about the raucous atmosphere and how great it was. But I think it's interesting because it's right at the end of the regular season, and you get to see whether did Paul Mainieri's experiment work? He hit the portal really, really hard. And then you have Vanderbilt with Tim Corbin. He built a lot of momentum last year. How does that carry over this year? Is Tim Corbin able to adapt to the modern realities of college baseball? Is Paul Mainieri able to do that? This could theoretically be, if the experiment doesn't work, Paul Mainieri's last regular season series. So that itself is exciting. What a luxurious career he's enjoyed. On the other hand, the revitalization of South Carolina is back on. So either way, there's a storyline with this one. And then you look at Georgia and Auburn. That you mentioned the portal classes. Auburn, a few ticks below Georgia in the 64 Analytics portal rankings. Georgia owns the portal. That's never going to go away under Wes Johnson. Auburn, incredible crop of freshmen last year. How do they take that next step? I really like this one. Auburn has that new stadium, essentially, with all the new seating. Really, really exciting program to follow. And Georgia, the ultimate experiment right now in college baseball.
Yeah, I like your point about that South Carolina series, because this is a big year for South Carolina. I wrote about it in the article about how you hit on it. Did the South Carolina experiment work with Mainieri hitting the portal hard? I've talked to coaches around the league about how this has reminded them about Mainieri's second year at LSU, how they didn't make the tournament. They didn't make the SEC tournament his first year there. Second year, they go to Omaha. So I'm not saying Omaha is going to happen for South Carolina, but I do expect them to take a step forward. And seeing Paul Mainieri and Tim Corbin, two of the top SEC coaches probably ever to coach in baseball, that'll be a fun one to watch.
Well, Andrew, you mentioned how you've been working so hard on really diving into the SEC schedule release that we just touched on. What else stood out to you about looking at the conference as a whole? I know it's a lot. You mentioned working on it quite a bit. I assume you have every matchup memorized. What stood out to you?
I'm not going to really harp on. I'm not here to drag anyone down, but I want to know who owed Arkansas a favor, because Arkansas' schedule is probably one of the weaker schedules that I have seen in a conference. They gave the second team, or the third best team in the country outside of LSU and Coastal, based off of final rankings wise, they give them one of the most easiest. They don't go to LSU. They don't go to Tennessee. They outside where I'm got to pull it up now. They don't go to LSU, or they don't have LSU, Tennessee. I'm missing a couple big ones.
Texas
on the road. Yeah, they don't go to Texas. They don't go to Texas A&M. Those are four of the best SEC schools. On the road, they don't really. I don't want this to upset any SEC fans. Outside of South Carolina, they don't go to a South Carolina and Auburn, maybe. They don't go to a true fan base. Alabama, Auburn, their basketball teams might be playing in the championship at this point. I don't think their external focus is on the baseball program. South Carolina I think they're going to be very good. I think they're going to have butts and seats this year. Missouri and Kentucky, those are two just lower end. Yes, Noah.
Hey, Andrew, I'm going to cut in, and I'm just going to defend Auburn fans really quickly. I don't think there's a place that I'd rather play in the country on a tough Saturday than Plainsman Park. I will take that over a lot. That was a fantastic atmosphere as the season came to an end last year, and they were great in the postseason. It didn't come out the way that the fans wanted, but the money that they poured into making that facility better. You have the Plainsman parking lot people. That's one of the best fan bases in the country in college baseball, and your disrespect makes me sick.
Well, I just want to cut in for a minute and let you know that I just got my power back. So if I cut out for a minute, just know that I'm connected to Wi-Fi. I heard they're arresting someone outside my. They're arresting someone outside my community. They're Rendell Codgers. What? I don't know. Arkansas. I don't think I think with an Arkansas team, they just got a lot of free. I mean, Georgia's good. Yes. Florida, it has high hopes. Mississippi State's got high hopes. This Arkansas team is going to be top 5 all year, in my belief. I just don't think they're losing. I think they only lose one series this whole SEC schedule, and I think it's the first one to South Carolina. Hot take. Outside of this, I think Georgia and LSU, they got the short end of the stick. I think they got some really tough competition. LSU, that road stretch, that middle of April is a toughie. At Tennessee, at Ole Miss versus Texas A&M, that's their whole. And then at Mississippi State, that's their whole April. That is a gauntlet. And then Georgia. They start off against Tennessee, but then they also go to A&M, Mississippi State, and Arkansas. That's a tough stretch as it is. They get LSU to end it off. That's going to be a very good series, as we just talked about it. Sorry, I'm all over the place now because my power's back. Tennessee, their schedule. Oh, Texas. Already made my joke about Texas and Missouri, but Texas got a little hard stretch on the road too. Auburn, South Carolina, A&M, Vanderbilt, and Tennessee. Those are hard places to win. This is a big year for Jim Schlossnagle, that second year in the SEC as a program. You don't want to peak too early like they did last year. Texas, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, those three teams, they peaked way too early. Obviously, Vanderbilt won the SEC tournament and got the number 1 national seed, but they did peak way too early, in my opinion. And that's why we didn't see them make it to super regionals. I mean, Tennessee did, but they went 0-2 barbecue. But I think these schedules are made for them to kind of not peak too early, but to peak at the right time that you're going into a tournament play hot, kind of like Mississippi State did last year.
Well, Andrew, I appreciate the monologue you just went on and how you flicked the lights back on right when you made a controversial take so you could duck out of my me pressing you on Auburn. I will again circle back. I'm not going to repeat everything I said, but it was very disrespectful the way that you addressed the Auburn fans and accused them of being a basketball fan base. I won't stand for it. I'm not going to circle back. I'm not going to ask you to speak anymore on it before you embarrass yourself anymore. But Plainsman Park,
right. They're a football school. They're a football school. My bad.
One of the best atmospheres in the country at Plainsman Park. Bucket list item. Might try and make it as soon as possible just to spite you. But overarchingly, I want to take a minute to talk about Arkansas because that was your number one observation. I think it was everybody's number one observation was, wow, look at who Arkansas avoided, which is an absolute fair statement. But at the same time, I worry about making the conclusion that Arkansas got off easy. We don't know what the SEC is going to look like. Who knew when Kentucky broke out that Kentucky was going to be a team that ended up reaching Omaha in a short time under head coach Nick Mingione? We don't know what the SEC is going to look like in 6 months, in 8 months, in 9 months when we're getting ready to crown a national champion. Andrew, can you read me the lottery numbers on Memorial Day of 2026? Can you tell me the lottery numbers?
I wish I can.
Oh, so you can't. If you can't predict the lottery, you certainly can't predict the SEC. So I'm not going to accuse Arkansas of having an easy schedule until the end of the season. I will say that they're lucky to avoid programs that we expect to be good.
Yes.
Programs that we expect to do well. But I'm not going to sit here and say that they got off easy because that is offensive to Arkansas, and they will find your IP address.
They already did. Don't worry.
Any comments on your disrespect?
Oh, I'm not being disrespect. I mean, I've heard some rumors. I'm not going to address these rumors about Arkansas, but I'm just saying this is just a little – it sets something up. Let's just say that.
I'll come out and say the rumors. You have a head coach that's aging. That's a reality. A head coach that you wonder how many years does he have left. A head coach that recently you wondered, can he adapt in the NIL era? A head coach that last year very clearly adapted really, really well, had a strong roster, as good of a chance as anyone to win a national championship, but came up just short on a fluky play that would have sent them to a potential play into a national championship series. And now we're talking about that aging head coach eventually having to call it a career. Whether those are rumors or whether it's just speculation or whether it's just common sense as an older head coach in a changing era, we wonder what kind of head coach would like to go out without playing Texas, a great rival in the Southwest Conference, without playing Tennessee, a new age rival. Dave Van Horn wants those challenges. I think he's upset about this schedule.
I mean, do you know that for a fact? I wish I did.
I don't.
I reached out to some coaches about their schedule, and there was some very excited for the challenge, and some saying I'm very excited to get my Marriott points racked up.
I would say that and again, I'm not a head coach. I'm certainly not a head coach in the SEC. I would say that if you're not excited about the opportunity to compete,
you're not
you
made
should
for
be
that.
holding a microphone. If you're afraid of coaching in the SEC, why are you coaching the SEC?
Yeah, great. No, I'm 100% on there with you. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Well, I'm thrilled that you agree, Andrew. Anything else that stood out to you? Personally, not much stood out to me about the other than Arkansas avoiding the teams we expect to be really good, but still probably playing a really tough schedule. No,
I mean, UF's road schedule is scary. I mean, at Alabama, at Arkansas, at Georgia, at Oklahoma, and then at LSU. I think that's a I think that's that's a very tough one. Same with Georgia. I think I kind of already hit on that. At A&M, at Mississippi State, at Arkansas, at Ole Miss, and then at Auburn. I think Georgia's whole SEC schedule is probably one of the tougher ones. But I'm like I said, I think you hit on it. You hit on it with my disrespect of how it's the SEC. There's no such thing as an easy schedule. Did it look like it's easy? I think yes. It came off as easy because just of home and road advantages. If you don't have to go to Alex Box Stadium again and worry about, or not even Alex Box Stadium. They don't go to Mississippi State. They don't go to Starkville. They don't have to worry about those tailgaters offering them food on Sunday. Like,
shoot.
Darn it. One point I did make about Mississippi State, though, is that fans are going to show up for them, and I'm very excited for that. I'm very excited to see how Brian O'Connor draws that crowd out. I don't know if you saw this. They are offering $5,000 donations. If you donate $5,000, you get a baseball jersey. You just go on Fanatics, get the $70 one. I don't care if there's a difference.
I have a comment. Again, I don't know what sort of disrespect tour you're on. I don't inherently disagree with paying $5,000 for a jersey isn't maybe a fair price, but you're not paying for the jersey. You're paying for the right to donate. You probably get something else along with that, and then you also get the jersey. I'm fine with that. If you can afford to donate $5,000 to your baseball program, number one, you are a fantastic baseball fan. You're great for college baseball. Number two, you earn the jersey. Congratulations. And the third, and this is very important, and I don't want to hurt any maybe sponsorship money that maybe Fanatics wants to give to College Baseball Central, but if I had the option between wearing no shirt and a Fanatic shirt, I would choose no shirt every single time. Fanatics is horrible.
Well, hopefully we get a home field sponsorship soon.
Home field is a great product. CBC 15 for 50% off your home field order.
God, I'm a plug god. But yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, nothing really stood out to me. I'm very excited. It's tough to break down these schedules without seeing the product on the field. You know?
Yes.
So because I was writing about Mississippi State, and I was thinking about it's like, wow, they're bringing in a lot of new guys, and the only thing for sure is that Ace Reese will be in that lineup. It's like, okay. So yeah.
I think that you kind of talked about it, alluded to it with the investment options. I think that the most important thing about Mississippi State's coaching change isn't who the coach is, it's that there is a new coach to be excited about. You saw it when they made the change so early in late April last year, maybe it was early May. Either way, they did it before the season was over, and all of a sudden, Mississippi State is selling out again. I don't believe they set any records or anything like that because God knows they own the top 10, 15, 20 records already. That might be broken this season with the excitement. If people are paying $5,000 for the right to be a donor and they get a free jersey, they're probably going to break an attendance record under Brian O'Connor. And that's really exciting for the program, and I'm excited for it to be the top venue in the sport again. Baum-Walker kind of took the reins on that for a second, whether Mississippi State fans want to admit that or not. I think there's a chance that they take the claim back this year.
They haven't announced their season schedule yet, but I want to see who they open up against. I want to see who they open up against because I'm kind of hoping it's not a cupcake because I want to see, like, okay, do you remember the Tulane Mississippi State series a couple of years ago at Mississippi State where, like, the whole Braden Altoff, he had a substance on his hand. They did the whole check. Like, that environment was phenomenal for college baseball. And that's like a second or third series of the year. So I'm kind of hoping they don't open up with a cupcake. I'm kind of hoping they, like, I'm not saying bring in, like, Texas Tech week one, but like Creighton, nothing against Creighton, but like bringing Creighton week 1, you're going to draw a nice fan base from Omaha probably, hopefully, and then the fans are going to show up. Like that's the one thing I love about the SEC is that I do joke about like Auburn or Kentucky. Kentucky's the big one. That they don't support their baseball team until their basketball season's over. Mississippi State and some other SECs, they don't care when basketball season's going on. They're not. They care about both, but they'll find a way to go to both games. The first day I was at CBC, actually, I went to LSU or University of Nebraska Omaha, upsetting LSU. And then I went to see LSU in Florida playing basketball later that night. Am I a bad employee for not going to that second game? No, it was my first day and I didn't have a media credential. Not my fault. But both those games were sold out and electric because you had diehard fans that just love their schools. So, and it's not even that it means more. It's just the love that true fans have for college sports, and I love that.
That's what it's all about, college sports, and Mississippi State will certainly have that in spades. You mentioned Creighton, which just wanted me to bring it back to Dave Van Horn for a second. Dave Van Horn's first win at Arkansas was against Creighton. Thank you for that, Andrew. You led me right into that.
Yeah.
I don't have any additional conclusions on the SEC schedule release. Andrew's drawn conclusions. I was making observations. I don't have any more observations. Andrew, let's go ahead and move on before you embarrass LSU or something. Well, Andrew, the SEC wasn't the only ones getting in on the schedule release party. We saw that the Las Vegas Classic released their teams as well that are going to be in that event. We saw some of the other peak events do it a week or two ago when they came out and said who's going to be where in Jacksonville and Round Rock, Frisco, whichever one is theirs. I get them all mixed up. But Las Vegas stands out because it doesn't fly under the radar, but it feels like they always get a good group of teams, and it's always exciting to watch, and you forget how good the weather is in Vegas when you're freezing everywhere else.
I actually really love this one. I actually really love this classic, I guess you can call it. You got 4 really good ball clubs. I mean, 4 teams that were 1 and 2 seeds in last year's NCAA tournament.
Good pull. Good pull. If this was around the horn, I would have given you a few points for that
one. I really love this one. Vanderbilt going out west. It seems that fits perfectly. They went out west last year, played UCLA and USC. So this is at the A's AAA, the
Aviators.
Aviators now. And you got 4 really good head coaches. I mean, Coach Orloff at UC Irvine, Coach Waz at Oregon, Coach Corbin at Vanderbilt, Arizona's baseball coach. Isn't ringing a bell right now. It's Chip Hale, huh? Yeah, Coach Hale. Sorry, I'm all over the place with my coaches. This is a good one. It's like right now you can't you gave me betting odds. I wouldn't want to bet on anyone to lose this one because I think these are all potential 1 seeds in next year's tournament. So I really like this one. This is peak, huh?
Yeah, it's peak.
Peak. I never know anymore what peak owns, what they don't.
Well, they title it the best outside of baseball. So if you're watching and you think this is really good, probably peak. I really like the 4 teams in here too. Again, you have Vanderbilt in there, and you mentioned that they kind of have a brief history of traveling out west without issue. I think it's almost kind of like bringing in the Yankees, which I think is exactly what Vanderbilt baseball is supposed to be. But outside of that, I like the West Coast flavor. I like how you're not getting guys from all over the country to come in and play in Vegas and screw up their time zones. We're not seeing Rutgers roll into Vegas because they're going to get jet lag. It's going to screw them up. They'll still play maybe at UCLA or USC or Washington later in the year. But I appreciate the regionality of an event like this outside of Vanderbilt, who, again, are the Yankees. They're cotton jerseys. They won the World Series, but only in 6 games. It's 2 Seinfeld references for you, Drew.
I know. I
But
know.
I really like this this event, and it is, if I remember right, the same weekend of that event that if I could wave my magic wand that is going to be impacted by the birth of my child in December, if I could wave the wand and have the ability to travel, which it remains up in the air, I know that I'll be in Arlington that week, but this would be second place for me right now. So if something happens where I can go to Vegas but not Arlington, which is an insane sentence to say, I would love to see this group of teams.
Last year's Las Vegas event was Texas, Illinois,
Texas Tech,
and oh my God, who am I? Was Oregon State? Huh? No, Washington. I mean, last year you bring in 3 Central. I don't want to consider Illinois in the Central.
I would.
Midwest. You bring in 2 teams from Texas, Illinois, and then you bring in Washington. And I mean, last year I think it did good numbers attendance wise, but views wise, it was overshadowed by other events. But this, you bring in Arizona, UC Irvine, Oregon, and Vanderbilt. You're only bringing in one team from the East Coast. You're bringing in 3, one from California, one from Oregon, one from Arizona. You're bringing in a whole good fan base with this. You're going to bring out the Las Vegas locals. You're going to bring out the Arizona fans that travel. The UC Irvine fans will travel. Vanderbilt fans travel because, the Vandy Whistler will be there. And then Oregon, they travel well as well. So this is didn't they just renovate that stadium too to make it bigger?
I'm not sure on renovations, but they are. I know that the Big 12 tournament's coming to Vegas. I would assume the same place. So this is definitely a environment that is ready for some bigger time baseball. You make a good point about the traveling fan bases, especially Arizona and Oregon is at this point a national brand. So I'm excited for that.
I thought it was going to Arizona.
You're right. It is going to Arizona.
Yeah, it's going to surprise.
I have sometimes you have a West Coast bias. I have an anti-West Coast bias where it's all just kind of the same to me. The Hangover was filmed in Salt Lake City, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
Andrew, any final thoughts on the Las Vegas Classic? I don't know when it becomes a classic, but good on them to get ahead of that.
I mean, I feel like it's got to have had some classic games to be a classic, but I think this is going to be a very I don't want to say this. If one of these teams goes 0-3 that weekend, they're going to be hitting the panic button early.
That's fair to say, and especially if it's UC Irvine. Look at the opportunities that they have to rack up quality non-conference wins. This one might mean more to them than anybody else.
Yes, I mean,
and same could be said for Oregon.
That was the thing about their whole hosting last year. There was a fair shot that they could have hosted. They didn't win their conference. Cal Poly wins their conference. And their non-conference games, that really kind of held them back RPI-wise from what I remember. So this could really bolster them.
Yeah. Well, other news hit last week. We discussed Jay Johnson getting a well-deserved contract extension with a raise. Southern Miss offered the same to their longtime assistant and current head coach. Andrew, what were your impressions on the extension here?
I think this is a good lockup. He's one of the best. He's one of the smartest pitching minds in the South. I got to talk to Coach Bianco about him in the state of Mississippi State, not Mississippi State, the state of Mississippi baseball. He said Coach Ostrander's been a huge part of that, and being able to keep him around that program is going to be huge for them. Obviously, his name hasn't been linked to other jobs, but the possibility of a bigger job opening up and his name being thrown out there is obviously a possibility. But what he's been doing at Southern Miss has been phenomenal. He's just continued to harp on the pitching dominance over there, and obviously hosting a regional since they lost it this past year kind of goes unnoticed. But them running the table and losing in the Sun Belt, or no, they won the Sun Belt.
They fell to Coastal.
Okay. He's done very good since taking over for Scott Berry. So this is just like home run.
Yeah. Longtime assistant under Scott Berry as well. He was somebody that they didn't find him off the couch. He was waiting his time to be the head coach at Southern Miss and doing as good of a job that we've seen be done at Southern Miss. This is a program that's been hungry to reach Omaha and take that next step. It feels kind of inevitable with Southern Miss. They didn't make a super regional. They haven't under him yet, but it feels like it's coming. And when you reward a head coach for the successes that he's had replacing a legend, which is something that we've seen be easier said than done. You think about what Florida State experienced. You had Mike Martin Jr., literally the name in waiting, not succeed at Florida State, replacing the guy. It's not easy to replace the guy. Alabama football knows it's not easy to replace the guy. So it's great to see that he's rewarded. And oftentimes in sports, you see extensions come when it's convenient for the program to lock down their coach come the end of the regular season, say, all right, programs, you can't have him. He's ours. I think that's pretty common in football. We've now seen in the last month of September, after school's been in session, where programs say, all right, let's get our guy paid. It feels unnecessary, but it's a classy move.
Yeah, I mean, well, not every school's in session yet. I mean, UCLA starts up next week, and they don't.
We all saw that. That's ridiculous. I don't know how you can't fire a head. This isn't a football deal, but what a ridiculous move by UCLA to fire the coach before school's in session.
That's what Nico does to you. But yeah, I mean, Coach Ostrander, he also brings in former UL pitching coach Gunnar Legger to help him out this year. Not to take the pressure off of him, but to help add to the big brain they have in the room. So I think Southern Miss is just going to continue trending up from here. They have potential to be a top 15 team in the country again, and just go tail to tail Coastal in the Sun Belt again.
Yeah, the Sun Belt is a conference in itself that is major stock up right now over the last few seasons. Coastal Carolina reaching the national championship certainly helps.
They are not I harp on this with the Sun Belt Syndicate. They are not a mid-major when it comes to baseball, in my opinion. They are one of the best. They are one of the best conferences, and with them getting Louisiana Tech joining in a year or two, it's just going to add on to the case.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the future of Sun Belt baseball. It feels like the Pac-12 is building its own arsenal of teams, and I still like the Sun Belt a little bit better. Andrew sees a step away to spit out some seeds or something, and we will move on. Andrew, huge weekend for Tony Vitello. Tennessee football wasn't victorious, but it was probably a successful weekend for Tony Vitello and the Vols baseball team. I think the number was they had 15 guys on campus. It might be tough to get those exact names, but Tony went on record and said one of them, he didn't say who because he can't say who. One of them is a future Major League Baseball Hall of Famer. I actually like the strategy here. We'll get into your thoughts on everything, but I'm going to harp on this lone point quickly. I like the concept of you bring in 15 guys on campus. A lot of guys you're probably not going to get on campus. These were top 100 guys. Usually those guys go to the MLB draft. Even top 30 guys, you get a ton of them. First-round picks or second-round picks generally. Probably not coming to school. Maybe you get one or two if they even commit. At this point, they were just recruits. But he goes on record and he says, one of these guys is a future Major League Baseball Hall of Famer. Now, he can't say who. He knows he can't say who. But now every kid in that group thinks he's talking about me. He can't say, he might, if they come out and say, were you talking about me? He knows that he might be on the hot spot or the hot seat with that a little bit, but he's not going to say that. Yeah, I was talking about you.
Well,
It's the perfect recruiting pitch. He just recruited all 15 of them because they don't know who he's talking about.
Yeah, I was about to say that is a very good recruiting pitch, saying that, because I wish when I was getting recruited, someone would say, "Oh wow, yeah, this kid's a future MLB ace," and so they just said, "Yeah, you're going to be a good bullpen arm for us." Thanks.
Well, and even that was lying.
But yeah, the guys they brought onto campus, I'm going to read off the names. Thank you to Mike Wilson for tweeting it out. Dylan Seward, a shortstop. Kyler, oh my God, I'm going to butcher some of these names, so I'm sorry. Kyler McCage, outfielder. Connor Salreno, left-handed pitcher. George Ferguson, probably the easiest name to say, right-handed pitcher. Chubb Jones, infielder. Caden Dawson, outfielder. Connor Wells, left-handed pitcher. Blake Lundy, catcher. Deuce Jenkins, outfielder and first baseman. Caden McCarthy, right-handed pitcher. Fisher Howell, a utility player. Quinn Fitzpatrick, right-handed pitcher. And out of those guys, Lundy and Fitzpatrick committed to Tennessee.
Okay. You would assume that one of them were the Major League Hall of Famers, just based on you probably nudged him on the shoulder and said, "Hey, I was talking about you." But yeah, we know how successful it is to bring your recruits in front of a sold-out football environment. It's easier to track with basketball when they do that, and vice versa. When you bring your football recruits to a basketball game, it's pretty well documented when that happens. It's a little bit sly when it happens in baseball. We'll talk about LSU doing something similar in just a minute. But I love to see it when it happens, because it's when you're in an SEC football environment, a lot of people will tell you it doesn't get better than that. And certainly SEC baseball environments doesn't get better than that. And I think that when you can walk into a place like Tennessee or LSU on the perfect Saturday, you've won the recruiting visit. I don't know how you top that.
I mean, you top it by winning your football game to really sell them. But you got a hyperventilating kicker on the sidelines. I don't know what else to say. But yeah, I mean, Tony Vitello, ever since he's really taken the job at Tennessee, him and his staff have done such a phenomenal job of bringing in guys, these top recruits. And they've done it through the portal and through the high school class. Obviously, you hit on it. A lot of these kids aren't going to make it to campus, probably. We live in an age where I don't know what they're feeding these kids anymore, where they are 6'5", 180, throwing 95 already as a lefty. So there's a very good chance that a lot of these kids are just going to go straight to Cooperstown and be Hall of Famers instead of stepping on campus. But from who I've talked to over at Tennessee, they've seemed very, very pleased with how this past weekend, and with another weekend coming up, they are very pleased with how everything recruiting-wise has gone.
Yeah, and I think that it's a major tool and good for Tony Vitello to get him on campus when Georgia was in town. LSU, massive home game for them as well. It feels like an LSU night game in football is pretty much a guarantee. The only guarantee that I like more is Jay Johnson closing in on a recruit. Perfect storm in Baton Rouge.
I mean, it felt like every time I got a text from an LSU source, it was, "Oh, another kid. Here's another kid. Here's another tweet. Here's another tweet." And yes, I understand some of these, to the LSU fans in my mentions, saying, "Oh, this kid's been committed for 2 years." Yes, I know, but he made it official with an official visit. You're not allowed to get an official offer until your junior year of high school. That is what happened the other day. So I'm going to basically just go through my Twitter, because I was tweeting about some of these. The latest one today was former LSU superstar Brad Hopp's son, which that was a very old moment for me. His son Drake Hopp committed to LSU. Brad obviously played for the Rockies. I'm pretty sure he was the one that hit the fly out that Matt Holliday got tagged out on because he didn't touch home plate. Drake Hopp committed. Devin Downs is another one that's been committed for a while. He made it official this past weekend. I'm just going through my Twitter at this point. Sean Perro, they got a commitment from today. Cade Luker, they're locking down guys left and right. And this is also another big thing. these are all in state. These are all Louisiana guys that committed outside of, I think, Laro is from California. But Jay Johnson has done such a great job of recruiting the in-state talent so well ever since he's gotten to LSU. It's like you're playing college football 26. You have your pipelines, and he's just sticking to his guns and saying, hey, we have Barb High School, we have Catholic High School right down the street from us. Those are 2 top baseball programs in the country. Like, let's try and keep these kids home. William Schmidt, local kid. He went to Catholic, was a top pitcher there. Now he's at LSU. Bringing in local talent. Kate Anderson, he went to St. Paul's in Mandeville. That's about an hour and a half from Baton Rouge. Just keeping the local talent home is such a big thing for Jay Johnson, and he's taking pride in that. So I think that's awesome.
I mentioned Tony Vitello talking about, well, we have a future MLB Hall of Famer on campus. I don't think there's anybody better at taking an opportunity to recruit when he has a microphone in his face than Jay Johnson. Jay will go in a big postseason game, and the first thing he'll say is, how could you not want to play here? How could you not want to come to LSU and win a game like this? Well, he has a point. So, and I'm not known to be an LSU, as the kids say, glazer or anything. I'm in fact the opposite. I will generally find a way to antagonize LSU, and I can't do it with Jay. I'm so bought in on Jay Johnson as a head coach and his ability he has turned me. That's the ultimate testament to recruiting, is how I used to say, LSU, I just don't know about them. And really I'd be in denial and I'd say, come on, LSU, please find a way to blow it. Whereas now I'm like, yeah, I think Jay Johnson might win the next 10 national championships. And if he walked into my living room, he could convince me to go to Baton Rouge for college. I don't like humidity. I don't care for seafood. But I would commit to the LSU Tigers right now.
Then no, that wasn't crab mac and cheese. I mean, yeah, Jay Johnson. I mean, he did such a good job at Arizona recruiting, and that was the whole selling point for LSU bringing him in when Mainieri retired for the first time. Was that he had a proven track record of winning, and he's a proven recruiter. I mean, you got to give a lot of credit to Josh Jordan as well. Gave up the Duke head coaching job to stay in Baton Rouge, and he's just hit every opportunity of bringing in big recruits out of the park.
Yeah, credit to the whole staff, and also credit to Jay for knowing how to keep a staff together and letting them flourish at the right time when they're in that right moment, when they can accept a head coaching position. Not that Jay Jordan was in that position, but he does a fantastic job of developing and nurturing a staff, and not just going kind of like the transfer portal and say, all right, you're the top assistant at Coastal Carolina or the top assistant at Arizona. Why don't you come here and come with me for a year? He cultivates his guys a little bit longer than that. And I think that really helps for the longevity of a staff, even though you have a head coach that's probably going to be coaching LSU the rest of his career.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the LSU fans in the middle of the season calling for Jay Johnson and comparing him to Coach Orgeron. For those fans, I wonder where they are now, and I wonder how long. Like, how can you keep hating on Coach Johnson when he's just been a proven winner? The team he took as a 2 seed to Chapel Hill the year they didn't get back to Omaha, the year after they won the national championship, that team was not that good. And they were still a 2 seed, and they still nearly forced the if necessary game against UNC to get to a super regional. So Coach Johnson's a proven winner. He gets the best out of his players. He does it through the transfer portal, does it through recruiting locally. I was talking to a college coach today about this, actually, about how you want to be able to keep the best talent close to you. You don't like it when kids from Florida go off to Tennessee. You want to keep the kids close to you because that shows, okay, we're good at recruiting near us. We're good at recruiting our pipelines.
It's interesting that you say that. You mentioned the state of Florida. You, of course, live in Florida. I live in Nebraska. The Nebraska baseball, I'm not going to say the staff. I would just say that the program appears to not take that approach towards the talent around them right now. you may not think, oh yeah, Nebraska high school, what a great group of prospects out there. But I can name a couple names for you that you would know, and you'd say, yeah, those would have been nice Nebraska Cornhuskers. And from what I've heard, they kind of get the cold shoulder from their home state program.
Yeah, and I think more programs are going to start having to realize that, like, the best, because it's also good from a high school point of view, knowing if you are D1 elite level, staying close to home is like that hometown hero. When some programs don't take that seriously, it's kind of like, oh, you don't want me? I'm working my butt off here to be very good, and like my dream school doesn't want me. So it's kind of like a big fu to you at some times, but I understand where some programs are going with it. Where we're also seeing more programs hone into just going through the transfer portal now. I think we're gonna see a lot of these top heavy programs still stick with recruiting top level talent and going through the portal if they lose that top talent to the draft. But I think we're going to see a lot of mid majors just kind of go through the portal. I mean, if you look at 6-4 Analytics' portal rankings, a lot of those teams are mid major teams. Tulane, Lamar. Those are two schools that Tulane only brought in 4 freshmen this year, I think. That's not a lot. Yeah. And Tulane's a old, like, I don't want to say that historic because they've only been to Omaha twice, but under Rick Jones, they were going to regionals. They were hosting regionals a lot. So just being able to bring in talent, especially in a state like Louisiana, especially with New Orleans. New Orleans, I believe, has some pretty good high school baseball. You got to be able to bring in that homegrown talent. I don't think you can live and die by the portal because, as we say, the portal giveth and the portal taketh away.
Yeah, there's a certain medium there that coaches have to find, and I think it speaks a lot. Obviously, Louisiana is not exactly a talent dry state. It certainly helps that they're in a hotbed of a recruiting area where you can look and say, look at these hundreds of players that are relevant that came out of the state of Louisiana, as opposed to maybe the state of Wyoming, maybe not having quite as many future MLB Hall of Famers in Tony Vitello's words. But it helps. And when you're able to own that area, it does speak volumes to the people around you. Because the reality is that all these kids grew up, let's say it's LSU, and you're a Louisiana kid and LSU doesn't recruit you. You still grew up an LSU fan. That never goes away. But now you're going to go, let's say you get under-recruited and you go to Louisiana Tech. You go to Louisiana. Or maybe you get appropriately recruited and you end up in a place like Arkansas, like Peyton Stovall did. That's a kid who grew up an LSU fan. It's not now all of a sudden LSU is his Super Bowl, and you don't want a lot of Super Bowls on your schedule.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like being around the Tulane and LSU program, 2 guys I'm going to bring up, Gavin Schultz, they're starting third baseman / DH, and he was also a captain the last 2 years. He was a New Orleans kid. He grew up wanting to go to Tulane or LSU or playing for Tulane or LSU. He ended up going to play for Tulane for 4 years. Cade Anderson, St. Paul's kid, Mandeville kid, hour and a half from Baton Rouge. He grew up wanting to be an LSU Tiger. So it's when you hear that offer of, oh yeah, we want to give you a scholarship, 99% of the time, they jump on it. They're like, hell yes. Like, hell yes, this is what I've worked for. Now, in the day and age with NIL, it's kind of changing where it's how much money are you going to give me? I mean, I'm not saying we're seeing freshmen get crazy NIL money because, to be fair, I don't know how much NIL money a lot of these baseball players are getting. Yeah. So it's an interesting aspect, but I also think that, like, I think the best way to improve the baseball program is keeping the homegrown talent close.
Here's my question for you, Andrew. And again, you talking about NIL, you maybe don't have the answer, but just kind of walk me through it. You have 2 offers on the table. One is from LSU, and let's pretend that you're from Connecticut, LSU, and then you have an offer from an unnamed program that has made the NCAA tournament 3 times in the last 4 years. Maybe they made a super regional, but they haven't been to Omaha. That unnamed program is offering you $100,000 in NIL. LSU's offering you any number you want under 100,000. What's the equivalent of $100,000 at average school compared to LSU? What? Because it can't be the same for me, but I'm not an athlete.
You're gonna hate me for this because there's so many winning. There's so many more aspects going into it because at this unknown school, I might also have the opportunity to make an impact from day one. At
That's
LSU, they might be like, hey, you might not get that many opportunities year one, but year 2 and 3, if you develop and pan out well, you're going to be a big part. So, in my opinion, I'm also that kind of guy that I wouldn't really care about money because I've loved baseball so much my whole life that I sit here and be like, I would take the 100K from this unnamed school because one, it's in Connecticut, right?
You live in Connecticut. The school is
I
anyway.
live in Connecticut, but being able to make an impact right away, like I hated sitting the bench my first year of college. Like being able to make an impact right from the get-go is awesome.
Yeah, you have a point there. That was kind of a hole in my question when I asked it. But as an Iowa State football fan, let's say that I'm a really good football player. No matter what my role is, I will go to Iowa State and I will take any NIL that they give me, no matter what the offer is elsewhere, unless it's really, really insane, which I'm not getting. So,
I mean, yeah, NIL is just such a tricky thing to like because every kid's different now. With like football, it's like back in the day, you just had Tennessee giving everyone like McDonald bags with $100,000. Now it's how much money are you going to offer me to go to your school? And it's just a weird thing to think about. So,
yeah, there's so much of there's so many coaches that'll get up and say we don't want to play that game, but you have to, and you also do it. And then you also have coaches who will get players from them and then say, "Oh man, this is happening. All right, tell us who it is, or admit that you're also doing it."
Yeah, exactly.
That had almost nothing to do with LSU recruiting high school players, but we went on that tangent together. Andrew, any closing thoughts as we wrap up? We said before that we might go a little bit quicker. We didn't, so
we went over that hour mark again. I was going to go on this whole little spiel about college sports. I was going to talk about the UCLA firing, but instead, I was going to talk about. I got an email today since I've gone to Tulane athletic events the last couple of years, so I get added to that email list. I was a season ticket holder for football, and we kind of talked about it with Mississippi State and the $5,000. If you care about college baseball, I would donate to your talent fund because that's the direction we're heading into now, where teams, so Tulane football, they just played their former QB, Darian Mensah, in Duke. They kicked his ass, thank God. But Mensah left Tulane to go chase the bag at Duke. He got $8 million. Really, it was $2 million with a bunch of incentives. With college baseball, the direction we're heading in, I believe that if you really care about college athletics, you need to donate. And if you're a true believer in donating in college sports, donate to your NIL talent fund. I believe it's such a big thing to help teams win. And if you want to see more mid-majors, like I hate saying, or no, I can say Murray State. Like Murray State, compete with schools like Ole Miss, LSU, Vanderbilt. You got to see them, like you got to help them in any way, shape, and form. The second thing I wanted to talk about was some sourcing. So the world we live in with covering college sports, where people steal sources all the time. I'm not calling out anyone, but don't be going out there calling out one of the biggest college sports reporters for saying they stole a report when you have people literally rip off like small college writers. Like don't be saying that you hold your riders to such high integrity when you don't have that high integrity. I'm not calling anyone out. I'm not going to say anyone I'm not going to say anyone specific, but it's like, don't play the high and mighty chair when you don't have it. That's my little spiel. Sorry, Noah.
Well, thank you, Andrew, for that ominous, definitely not directed at anybody spiel. I personally don't have any closing comments. I'm glad that we both wanted to take this direction towards the UCLA head coach in football. That was weird, but
nothing about Virginia Tech.
Yeah. That was deserved. I'm excited for what we can dive into over the next few weeks. I know you have your Boston trip coming up. You might go check out Northeastern, maybe some other schools around that area. Should be interesting what we see over the next handful of days or weeks. I know your trip might interfere with maybe us getting going again and maybe some other things, but we'll be back in a week or two, hopefully with some additional news and insight from across the country. I know for sure you will, Andrew, up in Boston. What a great area that is. Very last month of you to go there, but I get it. Get it while you can.
Hey, I'm sorry I didn't get to go see the Cape Cod championship, but hopefully I get some good insight. Hopefully I get to go see what Coach Mike Glavin's building up in Boston with his Northeastern Huskies. With my trip, I don't know if I can go visit anyone else, but it would be cool to go maybe see an ACC powerhouse in Boston College. But other than that, very excited to just see some college baseball coming up.
Yeah, it's great to be back, and we'll see you guys like we alluded to in a week or maybe two. Andrew, thanks for taking us on the journey of not having power and now having power again.
Yeah, thank you guys.